Welcome to the Let's Eat Grandma Career Warrior Podcast.
Welcome to the 82nd episode of the Let's Eat Grandma Career Warrior Podcast, where our goal is not only to help you land your dream job, but to help you live your best life. In this episode, you are going to learn exactly what hiring managers are looking for in a resume. I took some of the best recruiters here in Austin, and we're going to have a live panel discussion to help all of you get hired. The theme to hammer home: put yourself in the perspective of a hiring decision maker, and we're going straight to the horse's mouth with this episode. We'll talk about how to get your resume noticed in the first place and how to be the one that gets picked in the interview process. Just a quick, exciting announcement before we start the show. We just launched our Instagram account. It is at Career Warrior Podcast, and I'm so excited to connect with all of you in this way. By following us, you'll get another human side of the podcast. You'll see exactly what I look like and what the amazing guests look like as well. Most importantly, you'll get some additional motivation and visuals for your job search when you're casually on Instagram. All right, why did we do this podcast episode? It was to remove as much pain as possible during the job search. I've dealt with so many job seekers who are struggling because they don't know what the hiring process really looks like. And I guarantee you, anyone listening to this podcast episode right now has a leg up against the competition. So let's launch right into it with our 82nd episode of the Career Warrior Podcast. All right, how is everyone doing today? We're here in Austin, Texas. We have a lot of excitement in the crowd, and you'll hear them at the very end asking some amazing questions for hiring decision makers. I'm going to launch right into it. What makes you put a resume in the yes pile, and what makes you put a resume in the no pile?
My name is Ryman Stringer. I am the talent engagement lead at Kung Fu AI, an artificial intelligence company. I put a resume in the yes pile if their keywords are matching the job description that I am searching for. And I see that they have lots of relevant experience. I can tell immediately why they're looking at this position in particular, especially if they've had a bit of a wayward career path, which is very common now. I put a resume in the no pile. I don't want a photo of your dog on your resume or a photo of you on your resume. I want something that's clean, professional. That's what I look for.
These people are pickier than I am. So my name is Lisa Novak. I work with Data.World. It's a startup here in Austin that focuses on data management software. My title is head of talent and HR. So when I'm looking at resumes, when candidates' information is coming through, I'm almost looking at it just like you guys look at, or people look at dating sites, right? Am I going to swipe left or swipe right? And so what makes me swipe the right way? Because I'm not on this site, so I don't know what way is the right way. Which makes me swipe the proper way for you. Absolutely on the understand who you are. And people, we are looking for, it's everything these ladies have already said. We're looking to make sure you don't have typos, that you paid attention. And what that means isn't that we care if you spell everything accurately. We care that you paid attention to how you represent yourself, because that's how you're going to represent yourself for our companies. We're looking for those keywords, if you will. The folks on the podcast can't see me air quoting keywords, but those keywords, key phrases, we're looking to make sure that you've got the basic skills that are required for this job. So be sure to consider things like having more than one resume if you've got multiple skills and multiple objectives and multiple ways that would be appropriate and energizing for you to take your career path. So I'm looking for, do you care about the job you just applied for?
Nope.
Did you articulate that in paper?
Fantastic, thank you. If you're receiving a flood of resumes, let's call it 120 resumes, how do you prioritize which resumes to look at? Because as a recruiter, I've never recruited before, but that's something that would just kill me if I had to look at all these different resumes.
It is absolutely why we get paid. It is part of our job to look at all
look
the
at all of
resumes.
them.
Here's
Let's give her a round of applause because holy crap, not everyone does this. I've spoken to a bunch of recruiters. Not everyone does their due diligence, but I think that's a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
So,
that's our responsibility. That's our job, and you're exactly right. And it is very easy for you to get overlooked when your resume doesn't shine.
Right.
When you don't have those very specific keywords, especially for the younger recruiting group, that they can't read the whole thing. They're not going to take the time. We're not going to take the time to read the whole thing. So make yourself stand out for that job in that company with your piece of paper.
My name is Nada Lulik. I'm head of HR at SpyCloud. We're a cybersecurity company. Have multiple resumes. Tailor it for the job that you're looking for. There's some things that are basic, your timeline, your education, but then you may choose to highlight different projects or programs that you did that are germane to the role that you're applying for. That's what makes me look. I'm also one of those weird people that reads cover letters, right? I know, and that's probably a question later, but I do look at it.
I love cover letters. Thank you for
validating
my entire
and if you
service.
can draw the connection for me that this particular project is connected to this thing that you put in your job description, or this initiative that I saw happening at your company. Points, by the way, for looking at something besides the job description and knowing what my business is doing.
Okay.
That makes a big difference.
Can I ask you two, and I'm going to move over to you two afterwards, but what do you use to collect the resumes? What specific software, if any? Or is it just email?
Right now, do not have an applicant tracking system, so I'm actually working through Indeed and email.
And I know, Rami, you discussed about using LinkedIn as a tool. Have you found that to be helpful, and has that been a way that you've been searching for candidates?
Yeah, so when I'm searching on LinkedIn, I'm using Boolean search. That's what all recruiters use. I try to catch as many variants on different keywords as I can. So I'll say software developer or software engineer or software development or software engineering. So I attempt that, but I'm human. I'm fallible. So as much as I like to think I'm not. So I'm not going to get all of those. So as many of those as you can include in your LinkedIn profile, whether that's in your skill set or in the actual descriptions of the roles that you've had, the easier it is for me to find you. And the more matches you have, the higher you're going to populate in my search.
Yeah, thank you. And I just want to emphasize, there's a myth out there that if you submit your resume to, there's one of these applicant tracking systems out there that make it seem like the god of applicant tracking systems. And you've heard 3 instances of recruiters who are using different methodologies to find candidates. Some use LinkedIn, some use all of them. It is, for the most part, I tell people just to have the best possible content, to go to the principles. Don't just game your resume. I think that's really important.
Hi, I'm Laura McGonigal. I am a recruiter for the Home Depot, but my company is The Proven Method.
All right, Home Depot, that's huge. How do you find candidates?
I literally do the same thing that all these ladies do. LinkedIn, we have our own applicant tracking system. I even have, Hunter. I look at every little nuance that a person has that's attached to them.
Yeah.
And I will go in and just literally, I just do my due diligence. It's just really looking and digging in and sinking in and using the keywords emphatically. I cannot specify. It's literally everything that she just said.
Yeah.
Great. All right, so I'm going to talk about the interview, our favorite part of the process, because that means you're just one step closer to your dream job here. Here is my next question. If somebody's interviewing with you and all of your candidates are awesome, how do you pick the one that ends up getting the job?
Someone start?
Yeah.
I stumped them. That's what I'm trying to do.
The most outspoken person will go. So how do you select among a pool of awesome? And there's a lot of that going on in Austin right now, right?
Yeah.
Our unemployment rate is like negative 47% or something like that at this point. And so we've got a lot of really great talent, and a lot of great talent has both been brought into Austin, been cultivated in Austin. So how do we get to select amongst great talent? And it really is a matter of the click. Do you click with our people? Do you click with our company? Do you care about what our company is doing? It's some of what we've each said, and particularly Nada when she was talking about that cover letter, the idea that you have bothered to care about us, about our specific company, that you've done your research, that you know who the people are that you're coming in to interview with, that you know not only some of the quirks of the company, what we're doing, but also what's our market doing? Where is our market maybe struggling? This is all stuff you can find on Google for every company you go in and interview with. So make yourself stand out by caring specifically about the company and the market that you're interviewing in and for.
Well, and even if you have a point of view or an assertion about the market that is not the same as that the company itself has, or is just plain wrong, that's okay. You've at least done the research to form a point of view. So we had 2 interviews this week back to back for a customer success manager. It's a very fiddly position. Got to have good technical skills, got to know security, have to have good people skills. Kind of a unicorn, right? And we had 2 really solid candidates. The main difference was that the second candidate came in with a list of very insightful questions that were indicative of the amount of work that he had done to figure out, to help him figure out, like, is this the right fit for me? Right? So there are 2 things there. 1, he understood what the role was and what our position was. And 2, he had enough self-knowledge to know where he could be successful. Right? That's the person we're going to make the offer to. Because, you know, is anyone perfect? No. But wow, this is someone who, like, is professional and grounded and can do the work we need them to do.
And the more you feel engaged in the role that you're talking about, the more engaged we're going to be with you. Like any relationship, right?
Yeah. I don't know how much of this is subconscious or things that you think about as an interviewer, but do you think about nonverbal communication when it comes to
definitely.
interviews?
Oh, yeah.
Constantly.
What are some good nonverbal, and this is good for, because we barely touched upon this. What are some great nonverbal things, and what's like
Eye
turns you on?
contact,
Eye
contact.
confidence.
Like,
You know,
are they crossing their arms? Are
Yes.
they, you know, apathetic? Are they leaning back? Are they engaged?
Yeah.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Did they iron their clothes before they
Right.
showed up to
Yes.
this
Are they
interview?
wearing
I
shorts?
should
Did
fire
they
my
care
clothes before.
enough
Those are nonverbal
No,
things.
I've got a long day.
right, care enough to present yourself in
Yes.
a way that we feel like you care enough about yourself to care about how you present yourself in the job.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that you need to wear a tie to your work
no.
every day.
No,
A
no,
bunch
no,
of
no.
folks here are engineers, and you're like, shorts and t-shirts are great. And you're right, shorts and t-shirts are great during the job. At the interview, it's about presenting yourself as someone who can pull things together, whether it's the work or your own self.
Yep.
So it truly is about not only that, that kind of physical language you're giving us, the crossing the arms, the rolling your eyes, the looking the other direction when we're talking to you, but physically, how do you present yourself there? It does matter.
Well, in post-interview, too, sending a thank you note.
Yes.
Making an effort to say, hey, I really enjoyed this. Thank you, this person for saying this person for saying this. Showing engagement and showing that you've really thought about this role and that you really want this position. That's huge. We do not get a lot of thank you notes, by the way. Yeah.
That was
We
okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Remarkably
Don't get a
low.
lot of
I do
thank
not
you
get a lot of
notes.
thank you notes.
Yeah.
They do stand out
Yes.
right now. So weird, huh? So take
Just-
the time to write the thank you note. And it can be a quick email. It can be a handwritten
email
It can
is
be,
fine.
it can be
Yeah.
one sentence and he'll stand out.
I'm gonna ask the audience here, like, complete honesty here. No one's looking at you. This is all via microphone. But
I mean, we're
How-
looking. Just so you know, we are looking.
all right, close your eyes because this
Okay.
is conflict of interest. Okay? We're gonna ask the recruiters to close their eyes and our studio audience here. So you just had an interview. Is anyone
looking
100% you send a thank you note every single time? Raise your hand. Okay. Fantastic. That's one of the most common questions I get asked post-interview is if they don't receive a response and they were supposed to get a response, everyone's busy, let's be honest, it happens to all of us, but is it ever appropriate to follow up twice? Is that okay with you?
Completely.
Yes.
I
First
think a lot
off,
of people
don't
do that.
wait for
120
us.
resumes.
Don't wait for
minute.
us to. If you're waiting for us to give you the next step, you've already failed the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be proactive. Absolutely follow up with us first with that thank you note. And then when we don't respond, because we do have 757 other candidates in the queue, send us another one. Day later, 3 days later, we're cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll know when it's not
Yeah.
cool.
Yes.
We don't think you're an
We do.
And
Seriously.
frankly,
We don't think you're an
if you've crossed
Yes.
the line, we've probably
You'll know.
already decided against you anyway, so you may as well just keep beating us up until we let you know.
Yes. We
You're
will not be
hearing
annoyed by a follow-up.
Agreed.
Straight from the recruiters themselves. It is okay to follow up. How many emails I've gotten of, this person from such and such company hasn't responded. When do I send a follow-up response?
No.
And
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
They shouldn't email you. They
You
should
have to
email
be
us.
assertive, right?
Yeah. Well,
Now-
because even as a recruiter, that I care about every single candidate, and I want, no matter if I hire you or not, I want you to have an amazing experience with my company. I have so many emails and resumes to look at. Some things are bound to slip through the cracks. Again, I'm human. If you follow up, I'm happy that you followed up because it gives me another opportunity to make sure that you have a good experience with my company. So it's not an annoyance to me, it's a benefit to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and
Go ahead.
I am not just a recruiter, but I'm head
Right.
of HR.
Yep.
So that means I'm recruiting, I'm doing benefits, I'm hiring people in 3 other countries in the world, I'm developing manager training, and I'm managing, a facilities move, right? So I actually appreciate it when a
Yes.
candidate follows
Seriously.
up. And I will always thank them. I'll apologize that I've not been quick
Same here.
enough. And to Ryman's point, I'm grateful that they've given me a chance to do my job the way I want to.
Yep.
Which is to make sure that you're all treated with respect. Right?
Beautiful.
So with a startup especially.
Yeah.
You guys see that a lot, right? The lack of response, that's pretty common, right?
Yep.
Everybody's complaining about it. When I was job searching, I was complaining about it too. It's horrific what's happening
is.
out there.
It is horrific.
It is because of our volume. Stand out in that volume.
Job seekers, how many of you dealt with lack of response post-interview? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room. It happens.
Same.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us.
All of us.
All of us.
Yeah, the entire panel is raising our
Yeah.
hands.
The panel's raising their
Podcast folk.
I'm going to ask you my favorite question about the interview. It's, what is your biggest weakness? It's one that I hate because it puts me on the spot, but I've learned to love it because I know you can make it a positive thing.
I never ask that question.
Okay.
I don't think.
Why not?
I don't think there's a lot of, what am I going to say? I'm too perfect. Like, I don't know, like sometimes I get so caught up in the details that I'm just too perfect.
Okay.
It's, what I really want to know is, I'm a big believer in behavioral interviewing. So give me a situation. So tell me about a time when. So Nada and I were talking about this earlier. Tell me about a time when you failed and how did you move past that and improve the next time. Or tell me about something that you are working on improving about yourself. That's a question that I'm much more likely to ask than what's your biggest weakness, because we all have things that we're good at and things that we're not so good at. And so showing that you have enough self-awareness to, be actively working on something about yourself. And you could say, hey, I'm not that great at like object-oriented programming and I'm trying to pick up my skills there. So here's what I'm doing about it. You can say that. You don't have to say, I'm impatient. It doesn't have to be a soft skill. It can be really something that you're actively working on improving.
As you're preparing yourself for an interview, think about what are you working on yourself right now? What are you learning more about? Where are you honing your skills? So instead of allowing folks to say, what are you not good at? You respond with, here's what I'm working on. Right? It's a much more pleasant answer than I'm not good at this. It's I'm working on this.
Yep.
And so, frankly, shame on the recruiters who ask you what you're not good at.
Yeah.
It's a weird question.
It
It's
is. I
inappropriate.
never
It
ask that
happens
question.
all the
No,
time.
never.
All the
or
time.
hiring managers.
Or
Yeah, that's
hiring
a weird,
managers,
that's
etc.
a weird
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to pick up the situational thing, how you behave in specific situations. We always, on our side, endorse and talk about things like the STAR technique or things where you try to show actual results. Do you stand by that? Because if you're in sales or marketing or anything where you have to show a specific result, I think it's important to pick out those numbers and show concrete examples.
I was just
Yeah.
about to bring that up.
Yeah.
I was like, we are looking for those numbers. We're looking for those years of experience.
Right.
And I want exactly what Ryan was saying. I want a detailed explanation that I can give back to the hiring manager, that I can give back to, the manager.
Yeah.
Whoever. For me specifically, it's a hiring manager. Okay?
Right.
They've got all of this skill set. They're within my range. It's perfect. They are that candidate. And they get along well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even if they don't follow the STAR method exactly, if you put the effort into to think about those things, you're going to be more concise. You're going to hit the things that you want to talk about more quickly. You're not going to come across as long-winded. So as long as you prepare and you use a method like that, I found that it helps a lot. And we get a lot more out of it than just, I did this and this happened. It's, here's how I problem solve. Here's how I collaborated with team members. It shows a lot more about you as a human being and as a person than just a key metric or
I
Long
also
answer.
always want to know, what was your role? What was the size of the team? What other
Got
groups?
to show context and scope.
Right,
absolutely,
context
100%,
and
yeah.
scope. What other groups did you collaborate with? Why did you collaborate with those groups? Why didn't you include those groups?
Yep.
Right? Why did you get selected for that project? Right? And like, would you get selected again? Sometimes I'll ask those, sort of conjecture questions just to see how people respond. You
Your
know,
daily
and that's
grind.
actually
Yes.
much more interesting for
Right.
me than
completely.
what's your weakness? I mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. I can make up BS about that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We honestly don't care about your weaknesses. That's not what we're looking for as hiring managers.
Yeah.
As,
Okay.
as,
No, we're looking for what you're
recruiters.
good at.
Yeah.
We're looking for what you're good at, so be prepared for that.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. What have
Yeah.
you accomplished and what are you good at? And probably some of you here in the room who have had the opportunity to go through some of this resume building exercise with the team here have. I'm hoping that those are the kinds of things they're asking you about. Where were your successes? Let's build out on that. And that's going all the way back to question number one. How do you what catches our attention on the resume? Knowing your own successes, knowing your own accomplishments, sharing those metrics, those things you did. It's not just I did this job. It's I did this job, and here's what I got to roll out. Here's what I accomplished. Here's what I made better or actually did for the company. We want to see that.
I picked some of the best HR people for this podcast, so let's give a round of applause for their answers so far. All right. We got something called Lightning Round. It's one of my favorite parts of the podcast, where we give them less than 30 seconds to answer their question. I want every single one of them to answer these questions in quick format. We're going to start with Laura, and then we're going to snake back and just...
me.
Always you, Laura. I'm thinking on you, because I know you.
Yeah.
I'm like,
All right, here. Question number one, lightning round. What percentage of cover letters do you actually read?
ooh, if I get cover letters, sometimes I don't get cover letters. I would love to get more cover letters. I usually read as many as I get because they are impactful. They do give us, just like a little bit of story.
Beautiful.
Actively read and engage with, a low percentage. How many I skim of the ones I do receive,
Yeah.
a good amount. And the one thing that really stands out to me is if they have even one sentence that is specific to my company.
Thank you.
I skim 85%, the ones that are specific, the ones I go for, and the ones that are long,
How long is too long? I'll let you elaborate.
3 paragraphs. Plenty.
Okay, I thought you said 3 paragraphs is too long. I'm
3
like,
short
I'm doing everything wrong.
paragraphs. Three sentence paragraphs.
Okay.
I'm going to jump in and say, yeah, I'm not reading
Okay.
past the second paragraph.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I'm
And I'm
really
really
skimming.
skimming.
I'm
What's
really
the coolest
skimming.
thing about you, and
Yeah.
why does that relate to
Yeah.
this job in this company? You have a generic cover letter that you don't cater to the company, you may as well not have it.
Yeah,
Especially if
seriously.
someone
Sure.
else's company name is in there.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Oh.
Dude, it happens all the time. So I am not
I've never done it, but dang. I
Closer to
mean,
it
if anyone
happens. It
has, like,
happens.
seriously, don't feel bad. But I mean, just double check
feel bad.
everything. It
No,
happens.
feel bad.
Go
It
ahead and feel
happens.
bad.
Yeah.
Get your life together. Like,
Okay.
figure out what you're doing before you hit the send button.
All right, we got to
Yeah.
move on. Number 2, lightning round. What is the most ideal format for your resume if you're receiving an email format? Do you want PDF, Word doc, rich text? What do you want?
Please PDF your stuff. So please understand that when you send a document across any network in an unprotected format like Word or Google Docs, etc., it does not necessarily look the same to us as it looks to you. Just PDF your stuff.
Beautiful.
if you want it to look good, PDF.
yeah.
PDF.
I'm cool with either.
Yeah. No,
That
no
is
points
not-
against you. No
that is
points against you.
exactly. That
Yeah,
is
no
not your
points
make or
against you.
break. I'm just
No.
saying that your colon turns into HJFT
Yes.
something or other, right? So it's going to benefit you.
Some
It's
do
going to
get
look
funky.
like
Yeah,
you meant
they
it to
do.
look if
But
you PDF
it's
it.
no points against
But I'm
you.
not-
But we don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, we don't really care.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, question number 3. Have you actually disqualified someone just due to a typo?
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't, but a hiring manager has.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Did it hurt you just to know that this was going to be a good candidate, and then you were like, oh, I don't know.
I've called a candidate and said, fix
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
I have to.
Yes.
Your resume sucks,
Yeah.
fix it.
If it's
I
in your
usually tweak.
name,
Yeah.
I usually do tell them
Yeah.
to tweak.
If the meat is there, if
Yes.
we know that this is a
Yeah.
qualified candidate and they just jacked up their resume, if it's not horrible, because I'm not dealing with horrible, that just means you didn't give it the time and the attention that it deserves. You don't care enough about the way you represent yourself. You're sure not going to represent yourself well for our company. So, but I've helped people correct typos and minor stuff if they're the right potential candidate.
Yeah, as long as it's minor. If it's one typo at the bottom of your resume.
But let's not take that line, folks. We're the exception, not the rule. Know that it is very easy to get overlooked for just a typo.
Yep. It is 100%
just
true.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it's
don't
true.
Make us.
Our resume service, we're all about pushing Grammarly. I think it's a great app. There are some things that Microsoft Word just doesn't catch. Print out your resume. I know it's this weird thing, but when I print it out, I'm able to see it a lot better versus computer screen. It's just kind of like, I look at it.
That's a great idea.
Come back the next day.
Yes.
Like sleep on it and
Show
come back
friends.
the next day and you'll go, oh God, what was I saying? Right?
Show your friends. Show people like these folks who are here to help you, right? Show the us's that you know out there. Most people want, most of the people around you want you to be successful. We want to help with that. So don't throw it out blind. Get
We'll
some
read
assistance.
resumes for coffee, cookies, or cocktails.
That's all
That's true.
You hear that? That's her offer.
all of us do that.
That's true.
GF over here, okay?
All right, we're going to do our final question of lightning round, and I want your honest to God answer here. How often, on average, do you spend on each resume?
To be fair, we have not been lying this whole time. We've been honest to God through this entire program.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to honesty now. Yeah.
You get about 10 to 15 seconds at first glance.
Okay.
If it clicks in that 10 to 15 seconds, you get about 20 more.
I'm always telling people, and please argue with me if I'm wrong, but I look at the one-pager versus two-pager thing. I think it's okay to have a two-page resume.
Yeah, right.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, completely.
But your most important stuff, the stuff that you need to convey, needs to be on that first page, and do yourself one up beyond that and put your most relevant stuff at the very top of the resume.
Yep.
Right?
Well, and if you've had a some water bottling job that isn't relevant at all to what you're trying to go into,
I love
don't
that
need to
water
see.
bottling job.
That's what I'm. Yeah, someone's got to do it. If you have 12 bullet points about that, you don't need 12 bullet points about that. That can be maximum.
No bullets.
No
just
bullets.
the title.
Actually, you don't need the water bottling.
It's not relevant.
I actually, one of the best resume examples that I have is of someone who's now a CEO in Austin. And it's a one-page resume. It's his entire career and his education. And it covers all 27 years of his career.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's readable. The font is not tiny. It's there. So it's doable, right? One of the things that I see, particularly with technical positions and particularly with testers, I'm going to pick on testers, is that they just get into the weeds. It's just like,
lot of
holy
information
moly,
there. Yeah.
5 pages? I'm not even sending that through. I'm not talking to the person. Because they can't
18-page
communicate.
resume.
We don't need 15 bullets on
18-page
every job
resume
you've ever
shoot me
done.
right
We need
now.
a few bullets of the most important things you've done at each job that are relevant to that role.
So if a
is
CEO
what
with
the
27 years of experience and 2 graduate degrees can condense their resume into 1 page, you can probably do it to 2.
In 2.
Yeah.
So I'm actually against the one pager. How about them apples? Bet you don't hear that very often, huh?
I agree with you, Laura. Like,
So
as
I
long as it
don't
needs
get
to
enough
be-
from you generally in 1 page. If you've got 3 years of experience, I got all of you in 1 page.
one page.
More
If you've
than
got
enough.
13, I need more meat. It's the 3 to 5 year person. Don't be afraid to get
Unless
to the
you're in
second
sales,
page.
because all I care about are your numbers.
Your numbers. Yeah. You only need 2 bullets under each
true.
roll.
That's right.
Very truthful.
Sales
What did I
marketing.
sell and how
Yeah.
much did I make?
Yeah.
But we do, we're sitting here asking you for more meat. We're asking you for detail your projects. Tell us a little bit more about the teams and why you did that. Obviously, you can't all keep that to 1 page. Understand that when we're scrolling, it all just feels
It's
like 1
digital.
page to us.
Yeah.
We're only going to be willing to scroll, 17 inches, whatever that, right? We're going to be, I'm trying to do this for
That's
the
fair.
podcast, right? And as I'm using my hands to talk, we're willing to scroll this far. If it's not interesting, we've already stopped about here, 3 inches. So know that it's not so much how long your resume is, it's how much it
It's
weighs.
what's
It's what's the
contained.
value in it.
I've been preaching this from the start. You're just
Well, you're welcome.
you're helping me out. This is Chris's opinion, and my opinion, it works. Episode 9, how long should your resume be? It's a 10-minute episode. We go into detail, and you're actually confirming the exact things I'm saying, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our final question before we take some Q&A from the audience. And if you do have some Q&A, what I would like you to do is to line up in that corner right behind Dave, right here, so that way we can be efficient with this. But this is my final question, and this is something I am just dying to know. What do you think, as a job seeker, is the best investment I can make during my search? Of time. Let's be specific.
Okay.
This is my best money investment.
open is
Okay, you can
this?
go either way, but my best time investment. Yeah.
I'm going to say networking.
Exactly.
And I don't mean going to a networking event and standing in the corner and drinking the Coke. I mean reaching out to individuals that have the job that you want or work in the company that you want to work at, offering to take them for coffee, offering to say, I just want to pick your brain for 5 minutes as quick as I possibly can. That one-on-one, as much one-on-one as you can get is great. And if you do go to a networking event, really making an effort to get to know the people there. I know it sucks. I know it's hard. I promise it's worth it. Even when I'm just randomly searching on LinkedIn, if I'm looking for a lower level position and I see someone who's been a manager for a while, it's not uncommon for me to cold message them and ask them if they have any referrals. So I'm constantly looking for referrals. That's where I get a lot of my candidates. So the more people you know, and the Austin startup scene in particular is about this big podcast. I'm putting my fingers together really, really close. That's the absolute best investment of your time you can give.
Thank you. Great answer.
We're all going to say the same thing
Yeah,
on
I
this.
know.
Networking, especially with the unemployment
yeah.
being as low as it is in Austin, it really is. We're back to the old school. It's who you know, not what you know. You have to know the stuff too. Austin's a really
Yes.
smart community, so it is both
Right.
now. It is what you know and who you know. So build your network, cultivate your network, and use your network.
And engage.
Yep.
Engage.
Just overall engage. Like
Yeah.
here, engage. On a podcast, engage. Online, engage. Through email, just everything.
Yep.
If I'm sending you a, hey, thank you so much, for connecting with me, reciprocate.
Yep.
Because I will remember you. And we may not fit right now, but maybe later we will.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
cultivating.
Yeah.
Really work
Yep.
work that network. Use the folks that you've worked with in the past who have shiny things to say about you. Who do they know that might be at those companies that you're targeting or that you're interested in, and use 3 degrees into your network.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for introductions. Don't be afraid to get out there and request connections, etc. Even with us, use that network and cultivate it. Work your network.
I had a candidate that I rejected for a position that I met at a happy hour, and he messaged me on LinkedIn last week and sent me referrals and said that he had such a good experience with us that he was asking and telling people about our company. He did not have to do that. He went out of his way to help me. I've always heard that the most powerful thing that we can learn in recruiting and ask in recruiting is, how can I help you? That goes to job seekers as well. So how can I help you, whether that's to a peer, a mentor, a recruiter, a hiring manager? I think that's one of the most powerful questions you can ask.
And all of us here are well networked. So if you can't work for our company or you're not a fit for a role we're recruiting for, we know what other people are recruiting for. I refer people other places all
Yep.
the time. I mean, I joke that I have a mafia. Right? And I mean,
We just did today.
we're just,
Like,
I mean,
we just did
yeah.
today.
Lisa and I have been a mafia forever. But seriously, I will help you, right? I will help you get connected to another company you want to get connected with, right? And then if I call you, you're going to share my post or my job description, right? This is how it works. This is part of the networking. And also, again, going back to a startup, I'm a sub 50 person company. Those referrals, people that come through referrals, through employees, through people we know, through partners, get more attention.
Absolutely.
right? They
gonna
get
bring
more
that up, too.
focused. And again, if they're not a fit for me, I'm going to help them go somewhere else. I'm going to ask my team to help them go somewhere else. I will take the time to review and fix their resume, right? So network.
Yeah, I've gotten 2 this week alone, just from Home Depot employees telling me,
Yeah.
I have these
Right.
2 resumes here. I can't fit them, but I know other people who can.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I'll take the 10 or 15 minutes.
That's some pretty great full circle to our original
It
question
really
of what
is,
makes
yeah.
you look at the resume
Yeah.
and how do your resumes stand
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the ones that we spend a
Referrals.
little bit more time on and the ones that get the first
Referrals.
attention are those referrals, whether they're from our peers, they're from your peers just poking poking us in the
Yeah.
ribs to say, hey, look at my friend.
Yeah.
From our employees networks. Those you give us a wink and a nod from someone else and we're going to give you the attention.
And oftentimes, I'm going to speak for myself here, I will give more candid feedback. Like, hey, you're not a fit for me and here's why. Or not a
true.
fit for
That's
us
actually
and
true.
here's
So
why.
true. Yeah.
But here are 3 other companies you should look at. I can help you with 2, I can't help you with the 3rd.
Yep.
Right? So it's a great opportunity to get some different feedback than you might ordinarily get.
Great. Well, I could not have asked for better people to give these answers. Before we launch into some Q&A, we have time for a few questions here. I just want to say thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you.
And if everyone could give them a round of
Yeah,
applause,
my
that'd be
pleasure.
great. Perfect. So it looks like we have a lot of people lined up.
So earlier during the panel, you mentioned that you had 2 candidates, and the candidate that stood out to you was the candidate that brought those really detailed questions about whether or not they would be a good fit. I know in the interview process, there's usually like multiple rounds. Do you come in hot with those questions on the first interview, or do you save that for like second, third interview?
Since I made that comment, this candidate was particularly thoughtful about creating the questions for each interviewer. We share the interview schedule in advance, names and titles of the people they're interviewing with. And I pre-soak people in advance. You're talking to this person, this person, this person, this person. You want to know about sales, ask them. You want to know about product, ask them. You want to know about renewals, ask them.
Great.
A career change can often include a pivot, and so that might require you to step back from more senior experience to almost start over in a new industry. What's your recommendation on framing your resume to show experience but also willingness to learn?
Use your summary statement. We don't care if you call it objective or a summary or whatever you want to call it. You can just call it a paragraph and not have a line for it, but use it there. Use that moment to say, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm trying for. I want this kind of job and this kind of company. I get that my experience is this. This is what I'm doing to pivot my career.
Use your network.
Use that.
Yeah,
and then I'll say,
that too.
as the person who probably doesn't do the most cover letter reading, I will also say that's another opportunity to say the why.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your time today. This has been really helpful. For someone who has just graduated from either a graduate program or, let's say, like any undergrad program, what is the biggest no-no or the biggest advice that you could give like a recent graduate in terms of either structuring the resume or moving forward in an interview process? How much weight do you put on that education experience between work?
Well, it's been a few years, but let's let our most recent graduate say that.
Oh, yes, truly. Go Ryman.
I'm the youngest here.
Take it on.
Wow.
I have found that a lot of younger candidates or recent graduates, when I leave room to ask them questions in the phone screen, the first thing they ask is like what the PTO policy is. We have a great one, but I was really concerned about what you thought about the role. That's a red flag for just interviewing and kind of interviewing etiquette. I think that misses the flag sometimes because it is really important, but the job is more important. In terms of resume, I do want to see your education on the top. I understand that you're a recent graduate, and if I'm open to recent graduates, structuring your resume in terms of keywords and everything else, just like any other candidate, is what I'm looking for.
If there are school projects,
Yep.
include
Yes.
those school projects as if they're a
Yep.
job.
And what your role was, what
lead.
you did exactly.
Right.
Break
They're
that
relevant.
down.
What you
job.
accomplished, how
Yes.
it's relevant to this role. Use that schoolwork as part of your resume. Really build out
Yep.
your resume with that.
Okay, so my question is about when your life, sometimes life takes you in a different direction and you have to actually step back from your career and take a lot of contract jobs, like I had to do from home, a lot of contracts, and I stepped out of the executive position. How do I get back in it, and how do I actually put it on the resume? Because a lot of the most previous recent jobs are a whole bunch of contracts, 1-year contracts, when the experience that I have is on the last page as a last job, even though it's 9 years at that position.
Take it off the last page. Bring it back up.
Yeah.
Bring it back up. Your consulting work should, and especially if it's only just, the last few years of a consulting work, keep that as small as possible so you bring that
Consulting,
relevant
3
stuff
bullets.
on the top.
That's okay.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Even if it's for different companies, I
Sure,
don't have
just-
to put it in the.
No.
I consulted, these are the companies I worked for, this
Yep.
is some of the stuff I accomplished, as if
Yep.
it's just one job.
Yep.
Okay.
You did
So
the
and
same
that's
job.
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
Consulting
pretty much
from
the same
2014 to
thing.
And not
2019,
uncommon.
different
I've been
companies.
And your objective sentence
Yes, exactly.
would be that
another good
perfect
example.
thing.
Yep.
Like, I'm
And then
trying- this is
use
what I
your
wanna do.
network.
Yep.
Use your network.
more than
use your
Every
network.
question we're going to say use your network.
Thank you.
I guess I'd like to just piggyback on what you just said. My immediate top thing is about being a freelance designer. And I am not sure how well it's going over. Is there some way I can help to express like the different types of roles I've had? Someone suggested using like some of the clients as like milestone bullet points, which is sort of what it sounds like she was doing in her
Are
consulting.
you trying to continue to be a freelancer?
No, I want a full-time
Okay.
job, and I have full-time work below that, but in terms of the timeline, that's what I got.
I feel like it's the same answer.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
same answer.
objective.
Yeah.
Same.
Use your freelance work as if that's,
Consultant,
you had a
freelancer.
freelance job. Your job that period of time was your freelancing work. Your clients are listed under it, the accomplishments are next to your
Yep.
clients. It is your one job during that chunk of time was freelance work.
Okay, and freelance is what you want to see, like in terms
You can
of
call it what you
self-employed
wanna call it.
freelance.
Consultant.
you
Did
guys
you have
can-
it? Did you do a DBA? Do you have a
Design
business name?
consultant,
Use that
right.
business name. That
Yep.
was it. Did you? Is it
Yep.
Jane Smith Designs? Use it.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your time tonight. I'm going to hope I'm not being redundant on the last two, but it's sort of the same question, but with a gap. So, for instance, I was a musical theater performer for 3 years in the middle of my professional experience.
Awesome.
There might be people who have parenthood gaps or
Sure.
what other version.
Caring for parents, whatever.
Sure,
Yeah.
life things happen too. How do you deal with that on a resume so that it doesn't look like I flaked for 3 years?
We don't think that.
Yeah,
just so
I
you
don't
know.
think
We
so.
know
Good
that
news.
life
Most of
happens.
us are human too.
Yeah,
Yes.
life happens.
Yes.
I've been there.
Yes.
Most.
Yeah.
Most. I would just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like musical performer for blah blah.
But included on the resume?
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah.
there's not a gap in the timeline.
Now, remember we said earlier, if it's not terribly relevant to the job you're trying to get,
Just
don't
one
make
line.
17 bullets
Right.
about that.
One line.
Don't make it take up
Yes.
half a page for you. This is what I did during this time.
But it's worth including to make sure the time is covered.
Yes, because if I
Sure,
see a
and-
4 or 5 year gap, I'm going to be, and you don't say anything about it, I'm going to say, what?
And actually, for my company, so we're looking for a bookkeeper right now. There's someone who did something similar. We saw that and went, oh, that's cool. Let's talk to them. When I talked to them, their experience was great. Culturally, they're a good fit. They're coming in for an interview,
Yep.
right? So for the right employer, that's going to be attractive.
And
It's going to be slightly harder for you to build your network, but you're one of the
Yeah.
people that the network is really, really critical for also.
Yep.
yeah.
Agreed.
And I want to plug one company. It's called the Prowess Project, and it's actually a company focused on women returning to work after taking a break from whatever that may be. And they have accreditation courses and certification courses. It's a great company. So if you're a woman returning to work, check out
There
the
are a
Prowess
number
Project.
of those.
Yep.
Google
lot.
that, right?
Yep.
There are a lot of
Yeah.
job kind of re-entry organizations
Lots
that
of
are there
them.
to help
Yep.
with those kinds of things too, especially if it's been a particularly large gap. You stayed at home for, 6 years to deal with your babies,
Yep.
kind of stuff. There are a number of organizations that can help you with that and help you with the outplacement piece of
And
it.
there are a number of roles for which that's
Yep.
an advantage.
Yep.
That's right.
Yes.
Perfect.
Very true.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you to the audience for asking those questions. Those were better questions that I could have come up with, especially the resume gap question. I should have even thought to put that on, so thank you very much. And I want to give our lovely panelists the opportunity to talk about your company for about 30 seconds here. And are you on LinkedIn? Because sometimes our listeners like to connect with people
Could you
on LinkedIn.
imagine if we weren't on LinkedIn?
We're like get thank you emails
Yeah,
for
I just
helping establish them.
All right. Tell them how to find you, and then talk about your company, please.
Laura McGonigal. I work with a proven method. My one and only baby account is the Home Depot. I am on site. I am currently looking for a senior systems engineer with Kubernetes, Dockers, containers, go. I'm looking for a project manager with e-commerce. Obviously, good in retail setting. Need that retail customer loyalty. If anybody knows of anybody, that would be great. I'm looking for those two right now.
Great. Thank you.
My name is Ryman Stringer. I am on LinkedIn. It's spelled RYMAN, but it sounds like rhyming without the G. I am with Kung Fu AI again. We are an artificial intelligence professional services startup, so we are not road warriors. Our consultants sit on site in Austin to work specifically with different clients on building out prototypes and POCs focused on artificial intelligence and machine learning. I am always looking for candidates at all different levels of machine learning, and I do mean full stack machine learning. I need you to have software engineering skills as well as data science skills. If you have experience with deep learning, computer vision, or NLP, I really want to talk to you. Right now, we're not actively hiring, but I am always talking to candidates.
Great. Thanks.
Great. Nada Lulick with SpyCloud. We help keep the internet safe by helping companies prevent account takeover for their employees and their customers. We're recruiting 2 senior software engineers, one for our platform team and one for our integration team. Python, Java, full stack developers. Security is not essential, so it's a great opportunity for someone who wants to learn cybersecurity. We're going to be looking for junior DevOps engineer as well. We're looking for a global risk and compliance manager to help us navigate all of the privacy and other compliance issues. We're looking for a bookkeeper and looking for salespeople in the Southeast.
Great. Thanks.
Data.World is a 3-year-old data management company. We have 2 products. One is an open community product. It is our attempt to build the world's largest, most abundant, most effective, and most collaborative data resource. It is literally out there so the entire world can share data. It's the reason the internet was invented in the first place. It kind of devolved into people's pictures of their dinner, but we're going back to the root of it, the idea that sharing data and collaborating on data will help people make better decisions. We've taken that same concept and shared it with our enterprise clients, helping the enterprise understand where their data is, how to organize it, how to structure it, how to look at it, and how to collaborate on it within their organizations in the most robust way possible so that they're making better decisions on how they're running their business. We are looking for engineers, primary heavy Java focus across the entire platform. We're also looking for sales, and by sales I mean everything that is around the sales world, from sales development reps to strategic account executives to sales engineers, engagement managers, client services, and technical client services. So all that kind of wraps around the world of sales. Our focus is really on folks who understand the data market and data industry. It is a huge industry right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we're calling it Gartner is calling it the oil industry of today. There's a lot of money in it and a lot of people in it. The vast majority of the world's data has been developed and created in the last 3 years. Isn't that crazy? And we're trying, I know, right? And we're trying to help organize that. And so we want the data geeks. I'm looking for data geeks.
Awesome. Well, let's give our awesome panel one loud, proud round of applause to grow up this podcast. Probably my favorite live studio audience that we've ever done of the Career Warrior podcast.
You guys are awesome.
You guys had some
you.
great
Fun.
questions. So I just want to give one additional shout out to the Flatiron Coding School. We're actually here doing this live at Flatiron here in Austin, Texas. And it's just a really beautiful location. We also had some people from Flatiron who are here today. So can't thank you enough, and thanks again to our awesome panel. You guys made the content what it is, and not only are we hopefully affecting these people's lives today, but also people who are listening on iTunes, Spotify, whatever it is. So additionally, for you career warriors who are listening at home, what I'll do is I'll plug the LinkedIns of the people who are on the panel. So if you're driving, jogging, whatever it is, we want you to be safe. Just stop when you get the chance and add these folks on LinkedIn, and you're not going to regret it. So additional podcast episodes, if this did interest you, we have episode 8, what hiring managers want to see in your resume, and episode 12, how to make yourself stand out in the application with Annalisa Gonzalez, who is another amazing recruiter. So this concludes our 82nd episode of the Career Warrior podcast. Go out and be warriors. Awesome. Wow. Oh.